Would all folks please silence their cell phones, please? And join me in the pledge of allegiance to our flag. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
With that, it's 10 o'clock. I'll open the session. Call it to order. On the county part.
Okay, and I will call for town of Lakeview special meeting to order. 10 o'clock.
You guys all take your microphone.
Okay. The purpose of this meeting, Darwin, will you give a brief?
Yeah, thank you all for coming. Many of you have traveled a great distance to be here, and just want to welcome you to the first of at least two hearings before the town council and the board of commissioners for an urban growth boundary adjustment, as well as zone changes and comprehensive plan changes to the inclusion and exclusion properties. We'll talk more about that shortly, but just a brief history of the reason we're here. Red Rock Biofuels, as many of you know and have attended many open public meetings that they've held. Many of those have been at the senior center, but then also planning commission meetings that got us to this point. We're approved for a biofuels facility back in January of 2015 for the location just south of Catamus Road on the east side of Highway 395. What Red Rock Biofuels has done is they've applied for an urban growth boundary adjustment as well as changes to the comprehensive plan designation, map, and zone designation for areas currently inside the urban growth boundary to be taken out, and their project site to be included in the urban growth boundary with appropriate zone and comprehensive plan swaps of those two areas. There are approximately 10 other lands inside the inclusion area as well that are not owned or under lease by Red Rock, and those property owners would be affected by this as well. All advertisements have been made of the application and hearings, which original hearing was held on the third Tuesday of February. A joint meeting, that was a joint meeting between both the town's planning commission and the county's planning commission. That meeting was continued until the third Tuesday in April, and then continued again to the following Monday, the 25th of April, of which it was continued to May, and then May was continued to June. And then finally in June, the planning commissions, both of the town and county, made recommendation for the proposed changes, and that staff report and recommendation from the county is up on the screen currently, and we can certainly go over it more. But the applicant certainly has submitted a great deal of materials which support this change, as well as there has been opposition of which they've submitted rebuttal to that as well. So if there's any questions from any of you, I'll try to answer those.
Janine, do you have anything to add from the town?
Darwin has given a good overview of the application. He also included the town's purpose of being here, which is adjusting the request is adjusting the urban growth boundary and changes to the comprehensive plan map designating the inclusion and exclusion properties. It is a de novo hearing, and the town planning commission did, by unanimous vote, recommend approval of the application.
To the town council.
To the town council. Thank you.
And
I will just like to point out, I am a town council, but I am stepping aside on the decision-making process of this, as my main job is the county planning director, and I'm going to fulfill that role as I've had numerous conversations with the applicant and opponents that would be, tedious to try to, reshare all that information, so.
And this is one hearing of two, another hearing on the 28th, I understand?
Yeah, what will ultimately have to happen by both the town and the county is an ordinance adoption with these changes. And so I have drafted an ordinance, and I thank Denise for her patience with me and getting that to her. And it's ready to be reviewed, but I will tell you, it's almost word for word what the staff report has on it, and it suggests, that the findings have been made in this large packet without including all of them, but, and really goes over the whole process that we've been undertaking.
And all the documentations will be a complete record of the county. All the written testimonies, planning commission minutes, all of those will be part of it.
Will adoption take place on the 28th, or will it be thereafter?
From my understanding, the town needs to go first, as this is their urban growth boundary, so legal counsel will certainly be drafting that, from what I understand, and as soon as that's ready, then the town council will be able to hold that hearing process. But whether it happens on the 28th or not, this land use decision certainly can be made by the 28th, and then the follow-up ordinances, which again are a summary of the decision that we're undertaking right now, can be made at any given time after that.
Can they coincide in regards to the advertisement?
I'm hoping that they will, but, we've only got a couple of weeks for you guys to have something prepared for adoption that day.
And county ordinance would be in a matter of changing the Lakeview urban growth boundary comprehensive plan map change, and it's already changed, correct?
And it's included all those things.
And it has an ordinance number, the ordinance number is 115 for the record.
Number 115. Sandy?
The complete record of the town county joint plan commission hearings is being made a part of the town record of this hearing, including all the written testimony, town planning commission minutes, recordings, and recommendations.
Are we ready for testimony from the applicant to give a brief? No?
Yeah, I'm certainly ready, Jeff would like to take the floor, that'd be excellent. And I'll step aside for a second, I'll come back.
Welcome, Jeff.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Kestner, and to the other commissioners and town council members. Thank you very much for your time this morning. I'm Jeff Manternack from Red Rock Biofuels. Certainly appreciate your time and attention to the request before you here today, and again prior to the next meeting. Red Rock is requesting, I'll just give sort of a brief statement. There's, as Darwin has shared with you, there's hundreds of pages of application materials, and I don't want to spend time here today going through all of that. So I just wanted at a very high level to say, we've got the UGB amendment and associated comp plan change, zoning changes in front of you to accommodate construction and operation of our planned facility. That is moving forward as intended, and I certainly look forward to breaking ground and coming up and operational and being a permanent member of the community here. I'm here today to answer any questions you may have about the project overall. Certainly happy to do that. And if there are comments from others in the audience, we can certainly respond to those either today or prior to the next hearing. So I think with that, I certainly welcome any questions that county commissioners or town council members may have.
And before we go there, as you mentioned, give a brief as you did, and then anybody who have any supportive comments, and then anybody who has opposition comments, and then you would answer those. Any questions?
I have one. What makes this where you wanna change it to? Why is it so, more significant than the other piece of property?
Mr. Turner, I'm not quite sure I understand the question. I wonder if you could.
Well, you had this piece of property at first, that's what you wanna go from to this piece of property,
Correct.
okay? My question is, why change it from here to here?
I see. If I understand the question correctly, perhaps if I can rephrase, it's, why are we building on what I'll call the southern site and not the northern site, which is already in the UGB? Is that correct?
Right.
Okay. So a couple of things. The first is in our site selection process, we identified that southern site in particular because it has rail frontage. The northern site does not have rail frontage. I would argue that that's the most significant difference between those two. Also, if we look at that northern parcel, there's a different distribution of wetlands on that northern parcel compared to the southern parcel. That southern parcel allows us to construct a facility footprint. The entire parcel itself is roughly 90 acres. Roughly 30 acres we're cutting off on the southern portion of the southern site. That's not going to be included in UGB. The northern 2/3 of the southern site is actually mostly dry and accommodates our site footprint in particular. I would say finally, it's a little bit closer to the Ruby pipeline. Not much, but a little bit, and that's helpful as well. So, did that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Commissioner Tessner, I don't, is it all right to make a statement rather than a question?
Certainly.
All right. Jeff, I just would like to say thanks for your interest in our community. It's been going on for years now, and have seen you for a couple of those years. I remember when the planning was going on, we were all of this back over in the commissioners' meeting room on the other side of the courthouse. But a lot of meetings have taken place, and I think that you presented a very good amendment to our urban growth boundary plan, and I compliment you for continuing to look at our community, even though there have been long and drawn-out endeavors in doing such.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it, and it's a pleasure to be here as part of the community.
Excuse me, sir. Mr. Bailey? Hello?
Yes, Greg Stone here.
Okay. Thank you.
Welcome, Craig. We're in the process of the hearing. The applicant just gave a brief of the proposal, and we have any questions from the town council and county commissioners at this time.
Very well.
Jeff, I'd just like to say, welcome, glad you're here. Purpose of the hearing is for us to take testimony to be able to evaluate whenever we have our final decision, which could be on the 28th. So thank you for being here. If I have further questions, whatever, I'll do that after we get the testimony.
Certainly appreciate it. Thank you, Commissioner Winters. And for the benefit of those of you that don't know Craig Stone, he's been our primary, what I would call technical consultant on this UGB amendment and related comp plan and zoning changes. And so you may hear me, if there are additional technical questions during today's proceedings, you may hear me defer to Mr. Stone for some of those responses.
Also, I haven't heard, but in addition to choosing the northern area, as you stated, and the southern area, but the change in the boundary is also necessitate the facilitation of water and sewage.
That is correct. That's one of the primary reasons for the UGB amendment is so that the facility can receive water and sewer service from the town.
What's the net gain loss in the urban growth boundary?
I think it's plus minus 2 or 3 acres.
Yeah. anything else for us at this time, I'll open it up to anybody of support and then anybody of not support.
Thank you. At this time, I have no further comments.
Thank you, Jeff.
I'll open it to the audience. Anyone have comments and support at this time?
Morning, Commissioners and Councilors. My name is Scott Edelman. John Jennings is in the back. We both work for the Department of Land Conservation and Development out of the Bend office. We don't have any specific comments to give. We're here to support the process though, and we're available if there's anything that we can, any questions we can answer, anything we can help out with. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else in favor of the proposal? Come on up, state your name, please.
Do I have to say it? Okay, so my name's Aline Harmon, and my husband and I have been, we grew up here. We recently relocated back here. And we live very close to there, we own land close to there, and I just wanted to say that we support it because Lakeview needs jobs. And I don't have a problem living close to it at all. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
And being that you brought up the subject of jobs, that is a critical aspect also. Jeff, can you make a statement on jobs, economy?
Yes, Commissioner Kestner, I'd be happy to. The facility itself, during the operational phase, plans on employing directly roughly 31 individuals. And we expect that that will support, given the biomass draw, roughly 75 individuals on a full-time equivalent basis for the in-woods and transportation of that biomass. And of course, then you would have the typical multipliers from those 100 jobs into other types of associated support jobs. During the construction phase, which is limited in time to roughly 2 years, the numbers of course get quite a bit higher, up to a couple hundred folks that could be working on site at any one given time. Through Business Oregon, we have an economic impact report which lays all of that out in great detail. Certainly happy to share that with anyone that's interested. It's a wonderfully done report. Business Oregon does a great job in that.
And just one little clarification, you mentioned 31 and then you mentioned 75. Is that 75 inclusive of 31 or in addition to 31?
In addition.
So well over 100 personnel in the area.
Correct. Roughly 31 on Red Rock's payroll directly, and then in the broader area related to the biomass harvesting and transport activities, 75 full-time equivalent jobs supported from the draw of the biomass.
And the report, I encourage anybody to get the report, the news jobs and everything, it lays it all out there, the construction jobs, the report shows all that very well.
For the 31 people in the plant, what kind of expertise and or training will those people need to do those jobs inside?
Sure, so that includes everyone from a general manager down through other additional managers like a lab manager, maintenance manager, operations manager. Some of those folks will have already plenty of built-up experience from other prior positions at other facilities, in the state and locally. And in addition to that, then we'll have operators, maintenance techs, a couple of office folks, and we provide a fair amount of operational training. There's not too many facilities like this around, and we know that, and so we do have a fairly extensive training for folks that have a background that matches. We don't expect that anyone has worked in a woody biomass to jet and diesel fuel facility before, but we do expect folks to have operational background, and then we'll train them according to our own facility needs. And it usually goes for a couple of months, and then we do ongoing training.
Yes, thank you. Spinning off of the mayor's question, working with one of your colleagues, Mary Dan, representing Lake County on the East Cascades Workforce Investment Board, this is germane to a lot of interest in the community, in that we have members of the community college faculty and the presidency involved in this as well, and we're trying to tailor things as we go forward for our local community, unemployed or those wishing to move up in the jobs that are going to be available there through these different great training opportunities, certifications, etc. So that's going to be wonderful. I don't think every job you have in the plant is going to be able to be filled here, but time will tell. We'll see what kind of opportunities we have to train folks working with Red Rock.
That's right. We'll certainly draw as many as we possibly can, from as close as we possibly can.
And I have a question on the subject matter on the natural gas that we brought in. We all know that the community, the urban growth boundary out of town, is under scrutiny of Environmental Protection Agency non-attainment. How does this, well, there's two parts in my statement. One is that we get gas closer to the community, that sometimes we might be able to bring it all in to alleviate some of our air quality and economics. The other is, how does this plant mesh with the Department of Environmental Quality permitting?
A couple of complex questions you raised, Commissioner Kessner. The first is on the broader issue of bringing natural gas into the community. So Red Rock and Lake County have executed a natural gas lateral capacity sharing agreement. We did that around Thanksgiving of 2015 alongside an enterprise zone agreement. Red Rock will be bringing natural gas to its site, which is approximately 2.75 miles away from the Ruby pipeline, where it currently runs through at Crane Creek Road. So that will get it almost 3 miles closer to town, and really at that point it's right on the southern edge of town. As part of that capacity sharing agreement, we've gone ahead and upsized the pipeline size from what our own facilities need would be to provide for some additional capacity, and we've ceded contractually 1/3 of that spare capacity to Lake County to make available to the broader community. Whether that's just additional industrials or it's a residential rollout or what have you, it's available for Lake County to use. And I think if we think longer term and more broadly about air quality issues, that could certainly help alleviate some of the concerns that the state and others have, particularly regarding the particulate matter, that some of which may be generated from wood-burning stoves. Now, it's not going to be forced switching, but it may in the future give residents and businesses the opportunity to switch away from biomass heating into natural gas heating, which is definitively lower in terms of particulate matter. And so I think more broadly and longer term, it certainly holds a lot of promise for addressing the bigger issue of I think what your second question was, of sort of general EPA compliance. Specifically on that topic, the Red Rock facility has received its air permit, bless you, from the Oregon DEQ, which of course, is mandated to follow federal regulations regarding air quality. And so our facility, just like all other facilities, will be required to adhere to certain air quality standards, and we will follow all federal state and local guidelines on air quality. So I hope that addresses your question.
Go ahead.
Commissioner, if you don't mind, I'd just like to make another statement, Jeff, and see if you are in agreement with what I'm gonna say here, and I'll try and spit it out. I see as a community, we're faced with both problems and opportunities, and I think that they're compatible with what is going on with the Red Rock Biofuel plant. And we just spoke to the natural gas. We're all very excited about the opportunity to be able to get it into the community and beyond. We talked about the opportunity for new industry, but I think it's important to note that on the record, Cornerstone would love to have access to natural gas for their plant, not just for the current plant, but for the expansion of the plant, the expansion of the haulback they're currently doing to more refine that. You spoke to the air quality and the community interest as far as the opportunity for members in the community, households, to be able to get online with this. Everything's connected, and then the last part I'll say, and it's a huge thing, I think, to all of us that have been through many summers here with these large wildfires, the work that's going on with the group that Red Rock's heavily involved in as it relates to the federal lands and the biomass retrieval off of those federal lands, which are huge components to these large wildfires, that in time, we will be able to see a significant reduction in that available fuel out there that actually is the biggest part of the problem for the wildfires, to enhance our natural resources, to go way beyond the community and the plant itself. Is that a fair statement in your estimation?
It certainly is, Commissioner Schown, and I appreciate you, raising that. That sometimes, we think just in terms of the four corners of the parcel and the gate to gate, of our facility, but we certainly would expect that over the longer term, the reduction of waste woody biomass off of the forests surrounding this community, I think will have a long-term beneficial impact on air quality, water quality, ecosystem health, and a number of other environmental measures.
Thank you.
And just for clarity to the people on the thing, the biomass that's coming off would not be timber sale logs, things, it'd be the residual biomass and taking care of that.
That's correct, Commissioner Kestner. So, we expect that roughly 85% of our inbound woody biomass feedstock would be the result of really existing forestry industry practice, and it would be the byproduct of that practice. So we're looking at branches and limbs, bark, and then roughly 15% would be coming from the Collins Fremont sawmill. Again, another byproduct of an existing operation.
Great.
Back to the air quality, and that's something I've been working on. If we don't get a handle on the air quality and we get a thumbs down, it would be depressing to our economy, discouraging all development and stuff in the future. So as we progress with this, and if we get natural gas to offset some of the wood smoke during the critical days, it will save us in the long term as far as our economy.
Sandy?
I have no other questions or comments at this time. Anyone?
Then,
Thank you.
anyone else favorable want to make a statement? Anyone not favorable of the proposal, would you like to make a statement? Going once, going twice? Then, town council?
I would just state that before we have to move on regrettably to another meeting, as I was mentioning to Mr. Mendernack a minute ago, the process is long, but I appreciate all involved. And Darwin, I'm sorry you're not sitting up here with us. You've had a lot more involvement than us here on the council. We've all been kept abreast through the whole cycle of the last couple of years of what Red Rock's been working towards, hearing the testimony today in favor and the comments made by the commissioners in regards to them plotting the possibility, potential of natural gas in our community to curb the air quality that sometimes Mother Nature graces us with. But I appreciate that, and I would just say on my behalf, as a town councilor, that I appreciate Red Rock once again for the consideration, and I know that this is kind of a shift from the north end to the south end, but it's really, we would have had to have provided, as Mr. Metternach and Red Rock had requested, water and sewer services, and so we would have had to have gone through that process on the north end. They've exchanged, I feel, very reciprocally in the urban growth within 3 acres, I believe, of the adjustment that they're asking for, and so for the benefit of our town, I would include the commissioners to keep that in mind as we proceed forward.
And while we have Craig Stone on the phone, do you have any statement, Mr. Stone?
I had not prepared anything to say, but decided I would respond to any technical questions. I think one point, if it had not been made already, ought to be, and that is that this proceeding involves only the exchange of lands within the urban growth boundary. It does not approve or disapprove the plant itself. There is an existing approval for the plant and intentions to go forward, whether or not this process is successful. But we had hoped to connect to public sanitary sewer and water, and that's what this is really about. Opponents have testified orally and in writing regarding a number of objections that sort of just nibble around the edges of the rules that govern urban growth boundary reconfiguration. We addressed each of their objections. I think there was a total of 58. Our addressing of those are a matter of record and letters that we supplied to the record in May from Perkins Cooley, Red Rock's attorneys, and from our firm, CSO Planning. And we think we have a pretty complete and defensible case, and hope that you approve this. It'll be a good thing, I believe, for Red Rock as well as the community, and that'll conclude my remarks.
Thank you. Commissioner Winters?
I'm going to ask the town council, is it okay? Our legal counsel is not on the phone. I asked your legal counsel a question.
We'll leave it up to him whether he wants
If
to.
our legal person wishes to
John, is
answer.
there anything in this hearing process today that we've missed as the governing boards for both town and county that we want to make sure we have covered on
Let me answer your question this way. I am uncomfortable in advising you on any issue because you do have represented counsel, okay? However, I can tell the town council, with the exception of including within the record the town's comprehensive plan, as well as any other written memorandum, those items need to be included within the record. We need to reference that. But I think other than that deficiency in advising the town, Mayor Winslow, I think we're fine. As long as we proceeded, or as far as we proceeded today. So.
We will follow up with our legal counsel, obviously.
But the statement that all records would be inclusive,
Yep.
written testimonies, et cetera, et cetera.
Does that cover what you were saying? Okay, thank you.
Thanks, John.
Any other comments? Town council, would you like to?
I would move then that we continue our hearing to July the 28th, 2016 at 10 a.m.
Okay, one second.
I'll second that.
Location at the Lake County Commissioner's Office.
Here in the Commissioner's
Meeting
meeting.
record. So I have a motion and a second to continue the meeting to July 28th, 2016 at 10 a.m. in the Lake County Commissioner's Boardroom. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Fellow colleagues, would you like to make a motion for
I'll make a
continuance?
motion that we continue this hearing as the Board of Commissioners to July 28th at 10 a.m. here in the Commissioners meeting room.
Second, a little bit of discussion.
Sure. Motion made and seconded to continue this hearing till July 28th, 10 a.m. at this location of the courthouse. Discussion.
With that, all information that came today will be part of the public record, and to note that there was no opposition in writing or in verbal testimony today, and that needs to be part of the record carried forward for our hearing on the 28th.
Very good. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Well, I will now declare this joint meeting in recess, this hearing, until July 28th, 10 a.m. at the Lake County Courthouse in Mission. Thank you all.